Righto guys, we are going to restore this steering wheel. This one's actually off a mate of mine's 1960 single cab ute, truck if you're in the States, ute if you're in Australia. I don't know why that is, that's just weird. It doesn't really look like a truck, but utility, yeah, whatever, I don't know, who knows. Anyway, the button's pretty, you know, you can see it's not the best. So we'll try and fix that up a little bit. This guy's got some serious cracks going on. They're actually one right down through there, one right down through there, but the major one is back here, and you can see this whole piece here has actually come away, and this piece here has actually come away. So it's yeah, it's copped a bit of a whack. And we're going to attempt to try and put it all back together. Now this one's probably going to, normally with these guys I just use a Dremel and I V-prep the cracks and then put JB Weld or you know, a 2-part needy epoxy into them, sand them back, prime them, paint them with 2K black or white or whatever, and you're good to go. But this one's going to be a little bit more difficult because I think because this is actually separated from the cast part of the steering wheel, I'm going to have to get some epoxy behind this and then clamp it and see if we can get this crack a little bit closer together. I don't know. I don't actually like our chances here, but we'll see how we go. So we're going to try to just have a look at the top face is actually pretty level, which is good. Yeah, we'll see how we go. We'll just see what we can actually do with that. Yeah, see, that does flex. And I'm thinking if yeah, there we go. So if I put a bit of pressure on that, I can actually close that crack up. We'll try this one here. And that one not so much. So I don't know what's happened there, but that's definitely distorted. Yeah, that's not quite right shape-wise there either. So yeah, you can see it from the profile there. This is definitely sticking up. So I will mix up some epoxy and grab a couple of clamps and see how we go, just trying to clamp this together. I might even, don't know if it'll work in the vise. We could potentially try it. Probably better to use a clamp actually. All right, well we'll start with that first. Actually, before I do anything, I might just get some wax and grease remover and just give the steering wheel a clean first, because you know, cleanliness is good adhesion and all that jazz. So I will grab a pair of scissors, which are right there, and cut off a bit of rag, courtesy of my mum's bed sheets. I just go and ask her for a few here and there. Got my wax and grease remover here, and we'll just see what kind of stuff comes off this. Be interesting. Just give it a really good clean. I think it's going to need it because when we took this off the shaft, as you know, getting these wheels off can be quite difficult. One of them fought us to the bitter end, and another one I've done actually was really good and just popped straight off. So we were kind of like, what? But you just don't know if people have had them on and off over the years or not. So we'll just give this a good, get all the oils off people's hands and coronaviruses and all that jazz. We've just gone back into lockdown in Melbourne, Victoria for the second time, because we've got a lot of nuff people that think that, you know, they're above the law and the whole thing is a conspiracy. But anyway, we won't get into that. It's amazing how different people's opinions on all of it change. Alright, so give this a reasonably good clean here. I just want to make sure that we're not dealing with oils and then you have bonding issues. Righto. That's cool. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just put some epoxy, this stuff here, which there's no label on it, so that's just freaking great. Anyway, I think it's like a 5-minute epoxy. I've just got that clamp on there just to keep a bit of pressure, and I've sort of tried to put epoxy behind it. It's rough, but obviously this will all get sanded back, and then there'll be multiple coats just to build it up and get it right. You know, I haven't actually addressed these cracks yet, but I'm just trying to get this part here done, and that other section there, you can see where it's all cracked. And yeah, I'll just let that dry, and then, you know, like I said, I can actually give that a sand and get it as good as I can. But, you know, it was a pretty bad one. There's actually a couple of little cracks on the steering wheel there too. The rest of it's actually in pretty good nick, so really it's only those two and then either side. Yeah, so we'll have to let that dry for quite a while before I can attack it further. Obviously this section here needs to be built up a little bit here, so I'll just have to add some more. I'll probably get some JB Weld and go over the top of it with that one, but this epoxy I just had for now, so I've sort of stuck it behind it and leave that, yeah, leave it for a couple of hours to dry properly, and then we'll continue. All right, I'll leave you for now and come back soon. All right, hey guys, so we're just going to, I'm just using this little screwdriver here just to scrape off the gunky stuff on this bit of chrome, and then we're going to give it a polish up. Probably quite a few years of greasy dirt stuff. I don't know, it's coming off pretty easily, and I'm not really scratching it, so just taking this kind of crappy layer off. Probably all this, who knows what it is. Dirt, grease, stuff off people's hands. We're going to give this a polish up in a minute on my linishing machine. I can take this out, but I don't want to, because this stuff here I think is Bakelite, which is, it's really quite fragile, and you try and take this little pin here out off the side there and there and there, you pry those out, and then you can actually get this bit out, but you run the risk of snapping this, so I kind of don't want to do it. So yeah, I think that's good enough. And then what we're going to do is just put it over here on my little linisher. I can actually get in here. Put a bit of, I think this is the aluminium one, but it works, so. Waiting for that thing to calm down. As you can see, a little bit of crud still in the gap there, but that's a lot better. It's got a couple of little, not sure, I think it's on the, yeah, it's on the inside, some little cracks under the lens, but you know, that's a lot better than it was. You can see it's polished up the Bakelite pretty well. We might even actually just put a little bit of polish on this and see how, if that makes it any better or worse, and give it a go with this guy here. Well, that made a big difference. Look at that. That looks like it's brand new. Just a pity about those little cracks under the surface there, but as you can see, that's definitely going to go well on the ute. You can see that epoxy is dried, or somewhat. Probably going to leave it overnight actually, but what we can start doing now is V-prepping these cracks here. Alright, so we're just going to go in and V-prep these cracks so that we can get our material in. So righto, so we're going to use a little bit of this fibre fill. I'm just trying it, see, a bit of an experiment, see how we go. Normally I use a JB Weld, but I have actually had it crack, so I figured I might just give this a go. It's a bit of an experiment. We're going to try this just to cover in the little imperfections and the cracks, and we'll see how we go. I'm just going to do a little bit on the top, give it a good mix up. As you can see, I do like mixing with screwdrivers. I'm so slack. It's like I always end up having to buy new screwdrivers. Oh no, I need to get mixing sticks. A bit silly really. Anyway, let's have a go. We're going to just use this little guy here, and we're going to try, because I just think this might be a little bit better in the long run for sealing up these cracks and not having them re-crack again. But it's an experiment, so I mean, this is a resin based, or it is actually resin with fiberglass filler on it. And I think it actually has a bit of metal in there too, so it will be interesting to see whether this works. And it's only my mate's steering wheel, he won't mind. Okay, we'll just see how we go here. And we'll just obviously let this dry. It's really cold at the moment. Here. Just place it in there like that. And what I'm going to do is actually put a bit of actual filler over the top of this. So this is really just to seal up the crack, like so. I'll do the other side. Like that. And what we don't want to do is have a lot of excess, because that's excess means more work sanding. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually just force all this in there, like so. And might use my finger like that. That just gives me a nice finish. There's actually a little bit there I want to try to get rid of. Just there. There we go. That little bit of detail. I actually had one of these steering wheels a while ago and all these were broken, and I had to sit there and Dremel in between each one of these, and oh, it took hours, but you know, the end result was awesome and it ended up with a really great steering wheel. But you know, I think this is before you could buy the repo ones too, and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna fix it. All right, that'll do. Cool. Stay tuned for tomorrow, and we will yeah, come back to sanding this and finishing off the sides, and then we can give the whole thing a rub back, some primer, some 2K black, and probably a couple of coats of clear over that, and we're going to be ready for rock and rolling. Cool. Thanks, guys. Okay, so we're back onto the steering wheel. I've put a little bit of the resin fibre fill as we saw in the last section, and we're just going to give this a sand now, and just give this section here a sand, get that a little bit better, and then we can go on with adding some more stuff in it. So we'll fire up the sander here. I've just got the little random orbital. So we'll just start with a 120. We just want to get in these little radius spots here. It's a little bit tricky. Most of this stuff sands pretty good, pretty easily, I should say. See, it's starting to take shape now. In these sort of complex radius shapes, your finger is probably the best thing, I think, because you can just conform to the angle of the fandangle, you know, and that's important. You've got to keep that fandangle happy. The smoother you get it, the better it's going to look. It beats paying, you know, fixing them yourself versus, you know, just buying an aftermarket steering wheel. And I don't think they're that expensive. I think they're about, you know, $400, $500 for an aftermarket wheel. But, you know, it's aftermarket, and no one wants aftermarket. I'd rather have the original wheel on there, if you can help it. Now, obviously, you know, once we whack a coat of primer on this, it's going to show any imperfections in our sanding. You know, and that's fine, because that's what it's for. And then you know, you have to go back over it again. It's a few staged process. This it takes a couple of goes to get it right. And I don't mind sanding. I've been making surfboards since 1988, so a long time, a lot of surfboards, a lot of sanding. So you get, I don't know, you just get in the zone of it, I suppose, of switch off, and you just sand away. You know, you're looking for imperfections as you're going with your hand, and you get better and better at it, I reckon, as you get older. You know, a few people have asked me with some of my other car restos that I've done and spray painting. They say, oh, you're a panel beater, oh, you're a spray painter. I'm like, nope, I'm a surfboard maker. But it's amazing how those skills transfer over. and they do, because you are using a spray gun obviously to put coats of paint and on a board, and airbrush designs and all that sort of jazz, and laminating, and it just translates over. I mean, it's not not very different really. Righto people, we've got the steering wheel ready to go. She's had her final coat of primer and all is well. So we've got some black mixed up over here. This is a single stage black, which will obviously have a 2K clear over the top of it. And I'm just going to use the minigun today. This one's just a cheap gun that I got from a website. And it's really not the best quality, but for little jobs like this, it's actually pretty good. It'll do the job for that steering wheel. Easy peasy. Okay, let's have a look at this. Check that out. There's some nice gloss going on here. Gotta love that. Very nicely jobly done. Yeah, don't see any issues anywhere. So that's pretty much straight off the gun. I'm going to get out of here because it's super fumy, and I will return. There you go. You can see it got a nice gloss finish on it. I ended up putting, well, probably 3 coats of black on it, followed by about 3 coats of clear. Just I figured with 3 or 4 coats, might have been 4 coats actually, just to, you know, because obviously it's going to rub on your hands over time. So it's good to have a good build up of paint on there. It'll take a couple of days to dry properly, but you can see the results. Pretty amazing. You know, considering what it looked like, you can see the gloss finish on that. And here's the horn button. Unfortunately, the horn button had those little internal cracks there, which you can't do anything about that, unfortunately, but you know, that's all right. You look at it on there, considering what it used to look like. And this is going in a rat rod, 1960 Ute, which I'll do a couple of videos on soon. One that I'm doing some fabrication work on. But yeah, that's going to look fantastic in the cab. So there you go, guys. So that's how we do a steering wheel restoration. Not super hard, you know. Once you go through all the steps that you need to do, you can get good results like this. It's just, you know, a little bit of elbow grease, a bit of sanding, and taking your time doing this. You know, don't cut corners with sandpaper and think that, you know, you'll cover stuff up. So anyway, yeah, thumbs up if you like it, and we will continue on to the next part of this project. Cheers, guys.